Hey everybody, this is Amber Key, and you're listening to a Bread Idea podcast, a show that sits down with entrepreneurs to hear about the aha moments that launched their business. Welcome to part 2 of our series on entrepreneurship in the beauty industry, where I sit down with scientists, beauty influencers, and product owners to discuss their roles in the industry and how they're making an impact and a living. On today's episode, we're joined by beauty influencer Raven Small, also known as Beauty Maven Raven. Meet Raven.
You guys, we have to talk about these new CoverGirl liquid eyeshadows in the Kelsey Ballerini collection. So these are available in 5 rose gold shades. So I'm actually gonna start by applying a matte brown shade just all over my crease.
An online educator and content creator from Baltimore, Maryland, currently living in New York City. Her dreams have always been to inspire people worldwide to be their best selves and feel beautiful. She's been creating content for well over 10 years. Before creating content full-time, Raven worked with well-known brands leading their social media marketing efforts, building their influencer marketing strategies, and connecting influencers to brands such as Shea Moisture, Madam by Madam CJ Walker, and other brands at Unilever, one of America's leading parent brands for the beauty industry. Content creation has always been her creative escape from her 9-to-5. She's built her community, the BBs, from the ground up. Her hard work and authenticity have allowed her to work with brands like CoverGirl, Nordstrom, Milani Cosmetics, Kosas, Carol's Daughter, and more. She's a beauty and social media obsessed gal who loves discussing makeup, skincare, and anything beauty related. From her content alone, you can tell she's passionate about what she does, and I can't wait for you guys to hear our conversation.
Do you remember growing up and you would look in a magazine or you would look at a commercial on TV and your favorite celebrity was spraying themselves with a perfume or putting on this lip, and then that was how you went and purchased the product. But now I'm on Instagram looking at your videos and then I go buy the product. I just think, isn't that insane?
It is insane. It's crazy how the marketing industry has shifted based upon influencers and real people.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really shifted.
Did you ever think that your expertise would be influencing over 60 million people?
No, honestly, I never, when I started influencing, I never thought that I could reach this level. Where I am now was kind of it just seemed super far away from me and so far out of reach. But if you would have told me 2 years ago that I would be in the place that I'm in now, I probably would have laughed at you and ran away. I would have never imagined that my life could be like this based upon a hobby.
It's okay. So you're saying it was a hobby at first.
Yeah, I've always had a job. So I've worked in corporate America for years. I've worked in retail. I started getting into the beauty industry. I worked at Ulta. So I worked there for almost 10 years. And I just kind of wanted to try it. Everyone was always you have such a great personality. You could be so good as an influencer, yada, yada, yada. And I was okay, whatever. Let me turn on my camera and give it a spin. And here I am 2 years later, just thriving. So never would have imagined.
I was listening to another podcast that you were on, and you had mentioned that you had been in the game. And I don't know how long ago this podcast was, but you had been posting online or had content online for nearly a decade.
Yeah, I have.
I wanted to know sort of what your entry point was into beauty, and when did you first become interested in skincare and makeup? You mentioned that you worked at these stores, but have you always been a beauty girly?
No, I used to be kind of a little tomboy, if you will. When I was a kid, I would not pick up a makeup brush. I would play in my mom's heels from time to time, but you would never catch me playing in my mom's lipsticks or eyeshadows, nothing like that. I wanted to be outside with my dad. I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to race cars. That's what I was interested in. And when I worked at Ulta, when I tell this story, it's kind of wild, but I worked at Ulta. And my intention was like to work there for a couple months just to like get some money in my pocket.
Mhm.
And then I was going to like try to find a big girl job. So I ended up working at Ulta, and I just remember like being a cashier and seeing so many people like talk about all these products. And I'm like, why are you guys so fascinated with this stuff? Like, what is so good about this mascara or this blush? And then I just asked one of the prestige advisors one day, I was like, hey, can you just like do my brows? Like, I don't have brows. I just want to feel, I guess, like everyone else in the store.
Yeah.
So she did my brows, changed my life. Honestly, that's why I'm such a brow girl now. And then I was like, okay, well, can you do this? And then it just became like little add-ons.
Mhm.
And the next thing you know, I'm working on the floor selling makeup. Like the girl that just was not interested in it from the jump became a big makeup girly.
That's so funny. And it's so funny that you mentioned brows as like your entry point, because I remember that time. I do remember that. I remember that I think it's the Anastasia like brow that everybody brow
Yeah.
pencil that everyone had. And like, you know, we were kind of coming away from the super thin brows. And everyone was into, you know, filling them in or making them thicker. And so I totally see that as like your entry point into beauty.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly how I got into it, my brows. And they were not cute. Like she hooked me up,
Yeah.
but then when I went home to do it, I bought the wrong shade. My eyebrows literally were ashy for months, but you couldn't tell me anything back then. Like I thought I was just like, girl, you couldn't tell me nothing. Literally my eyebrows were ashy. But yes, like
I love it. And I loved all the like variations during that time too. Like you had like the thick,
thin.
like the
Yeah.
super thin, or like you could see like the pencil lines and it was like super,
Yep.
super stark, or like, you
Yep,
know, people
yep.
were filling in the middle with like the concealer to give it that edge. Like it was a time. It was
Yeah.
a time.
Brows have come a long way. Now it's like fluffy brows. Like
Yes.
because you'll hear a lot of people are like see a lot of content on like Instagram or TikTok, and it's like 2016 brows versus like 2023, where
Mhm.
it's like fluffy, just a gel brow, and that's it. But
Yeah.
like me, I'm just a 2016 brow girly until I die. Like I still conceal, I still fade the
Mhm.
front. Like that's just my jam.
Well, the brows are so underestimated. Like it's a
They
very
are.
important part of your face. Like if I were to go like this and I didn't have any brows, like that would ruin my entire face, you know?
Exactly. Be
Like what is
happened?
that?
Exactly.
I love that. So tell me like how you grew up. Where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore. I lived in Baltimore pretty much all my life until I moved to Jersey City, where I am now.
Okay.
So I'm a Baltimore girl from the jump.
Did you know what you wanted to do, like when you went off to college, and what you wanted your career to be?
I did it. When I went to college, I changed my major like so many times, and I think most people do. I think my first major, I wanted to be like an education teacher. I wanted to teach preschool. And then it switched from that to an interior designer. And then it switched from that to a graphic designer. And that's kind of where I stayed. But no, like, I mean, I still kind of use my graphic design degree from time to time. Like, you know, when I design my logos or like when I do my portfolio designs and stuff like that. So it still gets utilized, but like I'm not an actual graphic designer.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
prior to you becoming a full-time influencer, you are full-time, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what kind of jobs did you have?
I've always worked in social media marketing.
Okay.
And then recently, this past year, I started working in influencer marketing.
Okay.
So I worked at Four, which is like probably America's leading influencer marketing agency. I worked there for about, I think, 7 months. And then I just kind of stayed in influencer marketing for like a couple months after that. And then I made a decision to just be a full-time content creator.
Were you making content during the time that you were working with Four as well?
I was, but not as consistent as I am now. I oftentimes struggled with like balancing a full-time job and a full-time like hobby on the side, or a full-time, basically 2 full-time jobs, if you will. So I kind of struggled, but I was still kind of doing it here and there, but not fully like dedicated to it.
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this episode, go back and listen to the first part of our series on entrepreneurship in the beauty industry with the incredible cosmetic scientist Chanel Person, owner of Marie Methods. She talks to us about her formulation lab and how she works with indie beauty brand owners looking to get their businesses off the ground. Tune in now and listen to our conversation, and don't forget to spread the love and share with your fellow beauty enthusiasts. Back to the show.
Influencer marketing is sort of, marketing has been around for centuries, but influencer marketing is still relatively new. And so I find it really fascinating that you've had that experience and that background that you've been able to transfer into your own entrepreneurship and your own influencing. What was sort of the aha moment that you were like, I think I'm going to go full into this influencing piece?
I think when I was trying to juggle both, I was trying to juggle corporate America, and I was also trying to juggle my life as an entrepreneur. And I got to a point where I just got really tired. I caught myself going, nothing's wrong with going to bed early, but just coming home, taking a shower, going to bed. I also felt like I was just in this cycle of just confusion and not really knowing who I was anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had two separate lives, and I just kind of got tired of living those lives. I kind of got tired of going to a job and I've had great jobs. None of the jobs that I've had were bad, but I just kind of got tired of going to a job that I knew I didn't want to stay at for the rest of my life. I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to influence for the rest of my life until I was retired in a wheelchair in someone's nursing home, and I just couldn't work anymore. I just wanted to cut that off. And I've always been a dreamer since I can remember. I've always just had this idea of how can I be an entrepreneur? How could I start my own business? I just have always had that drive and that motive. And, I was talking to my therapist, I've been talking to my parents, I've been talking to friends, and I was just guys, what if I just really just take this full time? What if I just really make that leap? Mm-hmm. And my parents have my back. My parents are just we believe in you, go do it. And I just remember being on my rooftop in my apartment now and just sobbing, crying because I was so scared. I didn't know if I could sustain myself as an entrepreneur, because I've always had a steady 2-week paycheck. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten to a point where, my hard work from years ago have allowed me to get to the point where I am now. And I was just you know what, as long as I have God, as long as I have my family and I feel supported, and I just remember to stay smart and be organized, I'll be fine. So I just made the leap, and I honestly have not look back since. So I was the person that really just took the leap of faith. Some people like to make an exit plan. They like to have 7 months of savings planned out. I didn't have that. I just full throttle went for it. And I've kind of always been a risk taker in some areas of life. So one day I'm okay, yeah, I'm at corporate America. And the next day I'm oh no, I'm full-time entrepreneur. I just have always been a risk taker. So
yeah. Well, I was going to ask you that, because I think that's the scariest thing. So
it is very scary.
So you just walked in one day. No, it seems like it was building up, and you talked to several of your close friends, your therapists, and then you just put in the 2 weeks and you were out.
Yeah.
Girl.
I took a leap of faith, and I'm spiritual, and I believe that this is what God wants me to do.
Yeah.
I have, I said, I've always just had a steady income. I've always worked at corporate America. I've always gotten paid every 2 weeks. That's just the lifestyle that I have always known. But I've gotten to a point where I was just you know what? I don't think I'm meant to work for people. I think I'm meant to work for myself. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in a place now in my entrepreneurship life where I have steady partnerships where I'm able to sustain myself from my hobby. Why not make it a career? And full-fledged, go ahead and bet on yourself. And I did. So, I mean, what I have done, might not be suitable for everyone. I know, again, some people just like to have a steady plan. They like to have an exit strategy. But, sometimes you just have to jump in and dive into it. And if it's your passion, you will flow and you will sustain. So,
yeah. So while you were working, before you quit, did you have any partnerships set up? Were you getting an income already from your influencing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was, when I was at my last job, I was already working with CoverGirl. And I was just like, okay, this is like the biggest partnership I've ever had. And then a couple months later, Nordstrom knocked on my door. And I was just like, okay, right now I have 2 long-term partnerships that'll carry me out into the rest of the year. So I have a blanket, and I was at a point where I was just growing rapidly online. Like my Instagram account was just like growing like wildfire, like thousands of new followers a day. And I was just like, now or never, let's do it. Jump, go.
What did Beauty Maven Raven look like back then? Like, who was your audience that you were catering to in order to like get CoverGirl and Nordstrom and all that?
My audience was always like, I've always done like drugstore makeup. I will always be a drugstore makeup girly. I always believe you don't have to spend a lot of money to like have a flawless face or to look good and stuff like that. So I've always kind of catered to drugstore makeup, affordable makeup, how to beat your face under $50, like how to, get a nice eyeliner under $10. So I've always catered to like that sort of audience, and I still do. But now I'm starting to like work with brands that are in Sephora and like a little higher end. So I'm trying to merge, obviously, still my love for drugstore, which is never going to change. I'm still going to, provide affordable makeup content, but also slowly incorporate like, I don't know, Makeup Forever or like Milk Makeup or NARS, stuff like that. So yeah, I started as affordable beauty.
I think that beauty content creating or influencing is a very underestimated profession. Like there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I have, and I'm so curious to hear what you have to say about it. But I started this podcast like 6 months ago. And in order to promote it, to get people to tune in, I have to promote it on Instagram. And so I'm like, oh, I work in marketing. I edit all day, but like, to talk on camera while doing your makeup, then editing it, then finding that song, then writing that caption. And then I literally sit and like stare at the analytics. Like I'm like obsessed with it. Like I can't even imagine how much work, especially if you're working with several brands, like what that looks like for you. So can you kind of walk me through like how have you made yourself a business?
So I am a self-taught marketer. So I pretty much taught myself how to market on social media. That has allowed me to work in corporate America. That has allowed me to work with like some really great brands. So I've always kind of known what to do when it comes to social. Now when it comes to influencing, it's like I have 2 separate minds. I have like the marketing side of my head where it's like, oh my gosh, did you see that trend? You need to try that. How are you going to incorporate this into your feed? And then I have this other brain which is like, oh, there's a new beauty product. I need to talk about it now. Or like, there's a new mascara. I need to talk about that. How am I going to incorporate that into my strategy? So I kind of have like 2 different minds, but it can be a lot. It can be a lot. People underestimate the value of a caption. Like a caption is keywords. You have to find the right words to use. You want to think of your content as like a little search engine. How can you become more discoverable? So you think about that. Then you got to think about hashtags. How many should you use? Should you take some out? which ones are relevant, which ones are not. And then of course you have, making the content. You have, I work with a DSLR, so I use an actual camera. I don't use my phone. So I have to get all my lighting right. I have to get all my settings right in my camera.
Wow.
I have lights that I have to turn on. And but I personally, I wouldn't change it for the world. I can't create content on my phone. I give so many props to the people that can, because I cannot. I'm just a really big stickler when it comes to quality.
Yeah.
So I need my camera, but it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. Even working with brands, you have to read briefs the size of this big. You have to make sure you're sticking to what they're looking for and following their niche. So it really is a lot to consider. It's a lot, but you kind of get used to it at some point. Again, like I said, I've always worked in social media marketing, so this feels like just something that I just know how to do, but it can be a lot.
What were some of the first brands that you worked with, and when did you get your first check?
I think it was Kosas. I think Kosas was the first brand that was my first big partnership. And I got my first check. This was in the pandemic, so I charged pretty much nothing, but I got my first check and I was just like, oh my God, I got paid. What did I do this?
Yeah.
It's exciting, but there's also another part of influencing that I think most people know about, but some people don't. But you have to pay your own taxes. The money is there. The money can be great, but you are now self-employed. You have to take out your taxes quarterly, or you have to pay Uncle Sam at the end of the year. So you have to be really strategic and smart with what you're charging brands, how much money you're putting aside, and everything is different based upon each state. So taxes are different across the globe, but you just have to be smart about that too. But there's a lot to consider when you basically sign up for this job.
So tell me something. Were you reaching out to brands to partner with them, or were people coming after you?
It was a little bit of both, but it was mostly brands coming after me.
Wow. How did you get discovered?
I honestly, I think it's just having good content. I think content is king. And I think if you just are providing a lot of value on your platforms, people are going to see you. You are going to be discoverable. If you just continuously pop up on someone's FYP on TikTok or someone's feed on Instagram, you never know who's watching you.
Right.
I had no idea CoverGirl was watching me. I had no idea.
That's
they just reached out to me one day and they're like, hey, you want to work with us? And I'm like, heck yes. Come on, let's sign the papers.
Yeah.
So you really never know who's looking at your content. So post the content, y'all. Post it.
I feel like you probably hear this a million times, and it's probably one of those buzzwords you hate, but I feel like people always talk about how saturated the market is, right? In terms of influencers.
Yeah.
How do you, I know that you now have a following where people are probably coming to you, but there's probably brands that you would love to work with that you have to go out and pitch. How do you make yourself stand out?
So I think it's the way you pitch. People pitch in different ways. It definitely obviously goes back to your deliverance and what you're mentioning and how you're marketing yourself. When you pitch to brands, you're basically selling yourself. So you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. You want to make sure that you're sharing your best content. And not only that, if you are pitching to a brand, make sure you're organically mentioning that brand already. You know what I mean? Brands love to work with content creators that kind of are already using their products, because once they want to do a sponsored content with you, it kind of naturally and easily and seamlessly ties into your feed because you're already talking about that brand.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, you always want to put your best foot forward. And again, content is king. Brands also love when you can provide a lot of value on your content and also authenticity. Be yourself. The market is super saturated, but there's only one you. So just be who you are.
Yeah. I saw a video, I think back in August, that you announced that you joined an agency.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So first of all, congratulations, because that's
Thank you.
huge. And I'm sure that like probably takes some weight off of your plate, right? Like you're not,
Yeah.
you have somebody working for you
Yes.
or you're working
I
with
have,
somebody.
yeah, I have my talent manager.
So how does that work? Walk me through that.
So, when I signed with my agency, it was a pretty big deal, and I kind of knew that I was ready for that step. I just didn't know who I wanted to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you work with an agency, they basically will manage all of your emails. Basically think of them as like a middleman. They are the one that's like negotiating for you. They're handling all the email communications. So you as the creator can just focus on creating content. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So my manager, Lupe, hi Lupe, she's the best. She basically manages all my emails. She also like is connected to a lot of brands. So she helps me with like brand events. She hooks me up with like brand visits, like events in New York, things
Wow.
like that, and just kind of getting me in front of brands that I've always wanted to work with. So it's kind of in a way like uh, I don't want to say a fast lane, but kind of just like it just kind of takes you a couple steps ahead.
Yeah.
So kind of really just puts you in the forefront of the brands that you want to work with.
I feel like once you're in an agency, like you're in this for the long haul. Like you're like
Yeah,
this is your
honestly.
this is like what you're gonna do. This is your career. I find that is
Yeah.
so cool. Like again, congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for to be an influencer, I know that like it's all about the following is a huge piece. And now we have micro influencers that where people have a smaller amount of followers, but they have like a loyal or a niche audience. Like, can you still work with brands and work with agencies when you don't have that many followers?
Yeah, I think I got my first PR package. Like I started on YouTube, and this was back in like 2011, I think. But I had like 200 followers or 200 subscribers on
Oh,
YouTube, and I got my first PR package from NYX. So
what?
you like that it matters, but it doesn't always matter. Like
Okay.
you can have, like I know some of my influencer friends, they have under 10,000 followers and they have UGC contracts. They're working with big brands. They're creating content for like Fenty. It matters, but it doesn't.
Okay.
And even if you do have a small following size, don't be like discouraged. Don't think that you have to get to like 100,000 followers to like be successful in the industry. You do not. You
Yeah.
can get PR with as little as 1,000 followers. You could get your first, like when I was working with Kosas, like my first big partnership, I think I had like 3,000 followers on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the end all be all.
Yeah. No, that's so good to know. And so would you say that, like, tell me about your followers. Do you have a niche following? Do you have like specific girls that follow you because you like drugstore brand makeup or like, do you have a relationship with your followers? Like, what are they like to you?
So my BBs, they are a group of amazing humans that just some of them know how to put foundation on, some of them absolutely don't know how to pick up a foundation brush. So I have kind of like two audiences. I create a lot of like beginner makeup content. So I do a lot of like educational content. A lot of people look at me as like a, hi, how do I find my undertone? Can you please help me? Or like, hi, which mascara is like the best under $15? I'm kind of like a pocket beauty advisor, if you will.
I
Like
love that.
that's pretty much how people view me online. But my BBs, my audience, I love them. I love connecting with them. I respond to every single comment I get. I just think it's so important as an influencer to build a community because those are the people that are going to ride for you.
Right.
Like the people that are going to support whatever content whatever sponsored content you have coming up. Like build your relationships with your audience. Like get to know them, do live streams, talk to them in real time, ask them questions,
Yeah.
have them ask you questions, like really get to know your audience. I think that is one of the biggest keys to success, is just really developing that relationship with the people that watch you every day.
Hey there, are you looking for some DIY and lifestyle inspo? Look no further. Amani at Home is your go-to content creator for all things renter friendly. Whether you're a renter or a homeowner, Amani's tips and tricks will surely elevate your space. Trust me, she's got you covered, from budget-friendly decorating to easy-to-follow DIY projects. Listen to our episode as we discuss her transition from a 9-to-5 to a full-time influencer, her aha moment that launched Amani at Home, and how she's teaching her followers to love where they live no matter what. Tune in after this show to listen to our conversation, and don't forget to like and subscribe to A Bright Idea to get updates on upcoming episodes.
I have a question for you, because I have just recently, again, started this podcast, and I am creating content to get people to tune into the show. And I am naturally a talkative person, as you can probably already tell. I am extroverted, but I get so nervous about posting online and about like looking stupid and sounding stupid and fumbling my words. And I just want to know how you, like, if that was an issue for you starting off, and like how you've overcome it.
So this is really triggering my inner perfectionist. I still struggle with it, to be honest with you. If I see something in my video and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that while I was editing, or like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I posted it and I didn't see that. Like, honestly, just post the content. I think the day and age that we're in is that if your content maybe has like a little like blooper in it, or like maybe you said something wrong, it's relatable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, TikTok has really kind of like shifted how content is received and how it's consumed by the consumers. So I think, if maybe there's a little something that's a little off with the video, just post it. You never know. Like, someone might be like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one that did that. Or like, I was the only one that had this too. Like, it's relatable. So just post it.
I'm working on it. I was recording something the other day, and I recorded it 4 times, and I was getting so frustrated. And my sister was here with me, and she's like, girl, if you don't just post it. I was like, no, because, and then I ended up, it was fine. But no, I definitely think you're right. I think that it's funny, because I feel like there was a period of Instagram videos where everything was like perfect and everything was like Facetune and now people got the toilet in the background, and it's like still getting views. So you're right.
Yes, exactly. And another thing, like, and this is something that I have to like tell myself like all the time, like, the most perfect thing wasn't built on the first try. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you will evolve as you post content. Like, it's just like us as humans, like, we change over time. Mm-hmm. Like, your content is going to change over time too, and you'll figure it out as you go. So like, I think by us as influencers or as people, when we like limit ourselves or when we don't post the content, in a way, it's kind of like you're hindering your growth a little bit. So like, just post it. It'll be fine. You'll probably fix it in the next video. Yeah. So just keep going.
Yeah. How much money can you make in influencing?
You can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money. Kind of like what you started the conversation with, and how big the industry is growing, like, as influencer marketing, stuff like that. It's only going to continue to grow, honestly. Like, the money is there. So you can really make a lot of money. I mean, when I was working at 4, I was working on Kohl's, and under Kohl's, there was also Nike, Under Armour, and lots of other brands like that are basically sold at Kohl's. Mm-hmm. And I was working on an Under Armour campaign, and we literally had one deliverable for a content creator to make. And it was like a TikTok video, maybe 15 10 to 15 seconds. This girl literally charged us $80,000.
No way.
Yes, one video, $80,000, and we paid her. So the money is there. She also had a huge following size, but that just goes to show the money is there. Like, you can make 6 figures off of a 15-second video. Like, it's there. It's definitely there.
That's insane. Was there a moment when you felt like you started, like you grabbed a permanent interest from like your audience? Like you found like your loyal following?
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm there now. Like, I feel like now I have a better understanding of like what my audience needs from me as a creator. And I really feel like now that I know what they're looking for, I can really be the best creator. I can make the best content. I can give them exactly what they're looking for. And we can just be one big happy online family.
Does that help you now that you know that you have this loyal following and you're creating content that people enjoy? Does that help you negotiate contracts?
As an influencer, I feel like if you have a very loyal audience and you know they trust you, and you know that if you post a video about a blow dryer, they're going to want that blow dryer.
Yeah.
It goes back to, again, that relationship with you and your audience. If they trust you, brands obviously are going to see that. And if they know that like you can give them retention or like you can give them higher profits, they're going to want to sign the check. So yeah, it does play a big part in it.
What sort of lessons have your followers taught you about your brand and how you can help people invest in themselves through skincare and makeup?
They've honestly taught me that it may sound really cliche, but they've really taught me that I can really be myself. Like in a lot of my videos, I'll always like kind of show like my personality, and like sometimes I'm really witty. Sometimes I'm like, girl, now you know you shouldn't put that on your face, okay? Like I can sometimes just bring out who I really am, and they've made me feel like a little bit more comfortable as a creator. Like I feel like again, I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So they've definitely taught me that. I mean, I feel like they've taught me so many things. Like, even though I'm kind of like the one in front of the classroom, like providing all the makeup tips and tricks, a lot of times they teach me. Like, I had this girl be like, Raven, have you tried doing this with your concealer instead of like applying it how you normally have? And I'll try it. I'm like, girl, you just hooked me up. Like, I was out here looking like Bozo the Clown, and now you taught me how to really put on my concealer. So yeah, it kind of like, it goes both ways. Again, it's that relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah. For
so
sure.
You are seen as an expert by your following. And do you ever feel a sense of responsibility?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I do. How do I want it? I do feel a sense of responsibility. But one thing I do want to say is that even though, yes, I am an expert in my niche of like beauty and makeup and all that, I don't know it all. Like I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I know everything. Like, obviously I can consume myself with so much content and so much tips and how can I help you do this and how can I help you do that. But at the same time, yes, I'm an expert. Yes, I'm a content creator, but I'm also a human. And, you know, I still have to live my day-to-day life. I still have a family at home. Like, I still got bills to pay. Like, when I come home, you know, my apartment is my home, but it's also my workplace. So sometimes I struggle with like coming home and just being home and not having the urge to like turn on my camera and talk to it. I've had to set up boundaries as a creator. And I think hopefully we'll probably get to this conversation, but like, and maybe this is the conversation now, but I think the biggest thing as a content creator for me and what's really helped me grow, not just as a creator, but just with my mental health and well-being, is setting boundaries for myself as a creator. Like, Like, yes, I can tell you how to do things, but I'm also going to have a cutoff. Like at 9 p.m., my Instagram notifications completely shut off. Like it goes in quiet mode. And I had to set that up for myself. So I'm not constantly like, I love helping people,
Yeah.
but I have to turn myself off. Like
Yeah.
I have to recharge. I have to watch my favorite show. I have to, do self-care. I have to take care of me. So I I am an expert, but I also feel like in a way I shouldn't automatically be subject to knowing everything
Yeah.
because I don't, and I don't think I'm ever going to. So yeah, that's like a long-winded answer, but yes, that's it.
No, I love that. And I love that you mentioned the boundaries and for your mental health, because not only like are you a content creator, but you're an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
you build your schedule. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs have that issue of when does work stop?
Yes.
And so that was one of my questions is like, when does work stop for you? Like, how are you? And was there a point, you have you have boundaries now, but like, did it get to a point ever when you were like, my head is going to explode if I don't sit down?
Yes. Yes, it did. I used to burn myself out like wildfire.
Hmm.
I still do this, but I'm always going to advocate for batch creating. So I'll make, I don't know, 15, 20 videos in one sitting, and then I'll edit those videos, and then I'll make more videos like 2 weeks after that.
Wow.
But I've had to build some disciplines with myself. I'm trying to get to a point now where I'm only creating content like maybe 2 to 3 days out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel like I have to do this every single day. Because again, I am a human. I have a life to live. I live in New York. I want to explore New York too, So I've had to set up kind of like a schedule for myself. And then yeah, just setting off like those cutoff times. Like I said, when 9 p.m. hits, Instagram completely shuts off. I just set up this new feature, and it's available on Instagram now, and I hope that TikTok does it too. But like you can set a timer like for 20 minutes. So like when 20 minutes passed and I'm just still doing hard scrolls on
Yeah.
the feed, 20 minutes, the timer goes, it's been 20 minutes. You need to close the app. You need to log off of Instagram.
Yeah.
So now I log off of Instagram and I do something else. So maybe I'll go to TikTok. But like usually I'll just like completely put my phone down. But yeah, you have to set boundaries for yourself. You have to also understand that, yes, this is your life. Entrepreneurship life is almost 24/7 sometimes.
Yeah.
But when you were in corporate America, girl, you was not working 24/7. Okay.
No.
You had to take your breaks. If you didn't take your breaks, okay, maybe some lawsuits was going to happen.
Yeah. They were telling you to take a break. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you still have to take your breaks and take your PTO, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that your burnout came from your passion to like create content and like for your and also like giving your followers what they want, or did it come from like chasing the bag because you're also like you got to pay bills and you got to like make money with these brands? Like, where did it come from?
It's a little bit of both. It's genuinely a passion of just loving to create.
Yeah.
Like, there was one day a couple of weeks ago where I was just having a really off day. I wasn't feeling good about myself. I just felt like crap. And I was just like, you know what, girl, just make a video. You don't even have to do a voiceover. You don't have to say anything. Just hit record and just play your makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And my day completely shifted. So when I create my content, I genuinely am having fun. Like I genuinely enjoy what I'm doing. I've always been like a creator at my core.
Yeah.
So I just really love what I do. But yes, I mean, at the end of the day, this is my job now. Like I don't have a steady 2-week paycheck anymore. Like I still have to sustain and pay my bills. So yeah, the money is going to motivate me a little bit. So yeah, like I always want to make sure that I'm discoverable. I want to make sure that I'm using those keywords in my caption. I want to make sure that I'm using the right trending audio so people can see me. Like, yeah, it's a little bit of both.
What are you, looking back, what are you most proud of all you have accomplished?
I am most proud of sticking with it. There's been a lot of moments in my career and just as an influencer where I wanted to, and I have, there's been a lot of moments where I threw in the towel. Like, I was just like, I can't do this. I'm not making any money. Like, no one's looking at me. I feel like I'm posting to like a blank wall. Like, why am I doing this? So I threw in the towel a couple times. And the one thing that has always been true, if I felt like I wanted to completely throw in the towel, and I did, I still came back to it. Just because it's just always been a passion of mine. I really have always wanted where I'm at now. So I'm just proud of the fact that I just kind of have never fully given up.
Yeah.
And I've always jumped back in. And I actually just had this thought the other day, and it's crazy to think about. It's kind of like aha, maybe. But like, every time I come back stronger every single time.
I love the stories of like resilience and like
so much resilience.
Yeah, no, it like makes like it gives me like goosebumps because it is like when you've been doing something like over and over and over again and you are burnt out, the first thing you want to do is like throw in the towel, but that's like the easy thing. Like that's the easiest thing to do. And then when you get back up and you're like, all right, let's do it again. Like you grow, you naturally get better because the only way you can go is up. Like I love hearing that.
Yeah.
What is next for Beauty Maven Raven?
Just more growth, honestly, not just as a brand, but as a person. I think one thing that I've learned recently as an entrepreneur is that there's also this other part of the job outside of just talking to a camera. Like you could talk on a panel if you wanted to, and I have talked on a panel. You could, when you go to events, you have to talk to people. I have a little bit of a social anxiety. People probably don't believe it, but I do. I went to a Forbes event a couple weeks ago, and when I tell you I completely shut down, like I went to the bathroom like 5 times and had to have pep talks with myself every single time I went to that bathroom. So I still struggle with like social anxiety. But you grow as a person. Like when you bet on yourself, I'm all I've got. Okay. Like I have to continue to evolve. I have to find ways to grow as a human being and as a person so I can be the best Beauty Maven Raven 10 years from now, or I can be the best content creator 25 years from now. You're constantly growing in some way, and honestly in ways that you never thought you could grow. You're just going to constantly evolve with the job.
You have been making content for 10 years. What's something you would tell yourself 10 years ago about where you are today?
I probably would have been like, girl, this is going to change your life. And you don't even know it. Honestly, that's exactly what I would have said to myself. Like my first video was on YouTube and I posted like an outfit of the day. It was terrible, but it was like an outfit of the day. And I just wanted to finally put something on the internet. And my parents actually didn't even know I was making YouTube videos in my bedroom. I was like 22, 21, working at like some retail job. And I just wanted to try it. I was like, you don't have anything to lose. Just go for it. Yeah. And it was kind of like a secret. Like I was living like a secret life. Like I didn't want people to know. I just wanted to try something different. But I would have told myself, like, you hitting publish on that first video 10 years ago, even though it was just like a little thing at the time, it will completely transform your life. And you don't even know it.
Do you ever go back and look at those old videos?
I do. And I cringe. Yes, I do.
You cringe?
I cringe, but I like looking at them because it really shows me how far I've come.
Yeah.
Like it shows me how much I've grown as a creator, as a woman, as a person, as a Black woman.
Yeah.
Like I truly have grown as a person. Like, 10 years ago, I don't even know who that girl is. Like, if you knock on the door, she not gonna open it. I don't know where she is anymore. She's somewhere hidden in the closet. I don't know.
I
But
love that.
it's just crazy to see how far I've grown as a person.
Yeah,
That first video, but I
that's
mean, I still watch
beautiful.
from time to time, but it's a little like cringe. Like, girl, what were you doing? What were you really doing?
I feel like we all have those moments, but I like look back at old things that I've done and I get emotional. I'm like, wow, you really made it, girl. Like
I will still cry. Like my closest friends, my family, they will
yeah,
tell you I could cry in a heartbeat. Okay.
same.
These tears, they function properly. Okay. They don't need no medication. They still work.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I can easily cry.
I love that. Before I play a rapid fire game with you, is there anything else that I have not asked you already that you would like our listeners to know?
I feel like we've talked about so much stuff, and I feel like, and these have been such great questions. So thank you for just having such awesome questions that just kind of are open-ended and just allow me to talk about the various parts of influencing. But I feel like we've covered majority of it.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for rapid fire.
No. And this has been such a pleasure, like speaking with you. I hate having to do Zoom over or do interviews over Zoom because like I love to like be in front of people.
I
And
know,
I just
I'm a
feel
people
like,
person. I
yeah,
know.
I feel like you and I would be like,
Like,
oh my God.
next to you.
Yes. We'll
Yeah.
have next time I'm in New York, I'll be like, what up, Raven? Let's get lunch.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
So let's get into rapid fire. Okay. What has been your favorite part about becoming a full-time influencer?
My favorite part, probably creating the content. Like I love making the content, but more than anything, I love editing the content. People always are like, girl, are you crazy? Like, how do you enjoy editing? I don't know if it's just the fact that I have an art background or like what, but I love editing my videos. It's so much fun.
Yes, it's like nice to like have that power over like your content
Yes,
and
I
like
can cross stuff out,
exactly
things in and out. Like I just have the control with my little fingertips.
Yeah, and you just get so creative and like Premiere. It's like the best.
Yes, it is.
What is a skincare product you can't live without for flawless skin?
Oh, I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I talk about this all the time, but it's the La Roche Thermal Spring Water.
What? I've never heard of it.
I'm talking about it's right here.
Oh,
it is just the most refreshing thing you can put on your skin. You probably, in most of my videos, 9 times out of 10, this is always my first step.
okay.
This is just, it's so refreshing. It's so cooling. It has really great like antioxidants and it just feels so good on the skin. It just really wakes up the skin for like prep, for moisturizers, for serums, like whatever. It's just like, it's like a spa in a bottle. Like I love this.
Wow. Wait, so
Yeah.
it's not the spray you put on after your makeup to set it.
No, this is like, it's literally like thermal water. It's just water, but like
Wow.
it is so, it feels good. It just feels amazing.
Is that a drugstore buy?
This, you can get this at Ulta, you can get this at Target.
Okay.
So it's pretty affordable. This bottle, I think is like $12 maybe. So it's not like expensive.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say a larger price. I was like, we'll throw that into the budget.
Give you some more stuff, but like this is like holy grail for me.
Okay, yes. All right. So what's the biggest misconception about content creating?
That we are not serious. And when I say that, a lot of people, when I explain the work that I do, a lot of people are like, oh, I could do your job. Oh, I could turn on the camera and talk to it. Can you? Like, it's not just about like turning on a flip screen and talking to a camera. Like anyone can do that, but it requires skill. It requires expertise.
Yeah.
It requires thought. It requires marketing. Like it's, I think that's the biggest misconception when it comes to influencers. Like yes, anyone can be an influencer,
Yeah.
but it really takes a lot to really be an influencer.
Girl, let me tell you. The other day, I was like, I don't know how y'all do it. I was getting mad. I was like cussing out my phone. I was like, okay, no. Like this is I don't know if I was made for it.
Yeah.
But that's hilarious. Okay. Bold eyes or bold lips?
You know, I was actually going to ask if we could edit this out so I can touch up my lipstick because I'm going to say bold lip. I'm gonna say bold lip, but I'm always so cringy if I have that white line.
Yeah, we'll do it on the camera. We need to see it. We're giving them the authentic experience.
You know, this is real time, y'all. Real time, folks.
And while you're doing that, who are we putting on our lips today?
We are putting on good old Milani.
Oh,
it's super affordable. I don't know the exact price, but I'm pretty sure it's under $10.
Okay.
This is their Stay Put liquid lip. It's pretty much a dupe for Stila's liquid lips that pretty much probably everyone knows about.
Yeah.
But just a lot more affordable, intense payoff when it comes to pigment. Lots of longevity, wears really well. And this shade is called That Girl because I'm that girl.
Yes, and that is Beauty Maven Raven right there for all the followers. I wanted to ask I forgot about Milani. You know what's so crazy? My mom used to wear MAC and she used to wear Milani. And those were like the two that were always in the drawer growing up. And I don't know why. I think it's because there's so many products out there. But I remember like Milani has the best, like, in my opinion, I loved their eyeshadows because it was so highly pigmented. Oh my God. Wait, I'm going to go to the store and get some. Yeah.
Yes. Milani is like one of my favorite brands, and the people behind Milani are even better.
Okay.
Like they are such a fun group of people, but like the products they perform. Like I swear by my Milani eyeshadow primer.
Okay.
This is pretty much a dupe for the Urban Decay eyeshadow base that everyone knows about. And this is literally like $9.
Wow.
And it has the same texture. It performs the same. It has like the same exact color. Like that is, this is like another broken record for me. Like if I'm doing an eyeshadow look, you're going to see this as the first step every single time.
What's something about influencing that gives you the ick?
Ick. Oh, wow. Gives me the ick. Oh, I don't know. I have to think about that. Gives me the ick.
Or social media. Or anything, actually.
Okay. So I know one now. So you know how social media changes like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, Instagram has a new reel update that's launching tomorrow and you have to post something tomorrow. So you post your video and all of a sudden the previous day you could post reels for up to 90 seconds. Yeah. And then tomorrow comes, you can only post 30-second reels.
Yeah.
And you had no idea. I think that's probably my biggest ick is that, obviously like social media is always going to change because it's pretty much how we live life these days.
Totally.
But I mean, those changes, they can be like life or death sometimes.
Right.
They can be like critical, especially like, let's say you got a sponsored post you got to put out the next day.
Yeah.
And you got to completely redo that thing. Like,
yeah,
it's probably one of my biggest. I mean, but luckily they don't do it as much as they used to. Like, I mean, there was usually like constant updates. I'm like, bro, hold on.
Yeah.
Like, we're just trying to get at a steady place.
Wait, so that's so funny because I thought like, as a commoner, like I'm no influencer, but I was like, I would see the updates and I'd be like, oh my God, wait, they just made an update yesterday. But like, so as an influencer, like as a content creator, do they announce these changes for you guys? Or like, are you you're just finding out like the rest of us?
Yeah. Everyone, like, I remember,
I don't know about that.
I don't remember where I was working at the time, but like Instagram did like this big update. And it just like happened like instantly. And they put out a little like post and they're like, oh, Instagram is going to do this differently. Have fun. And then the next thing you know, here's the change. And it's like, wait a minute, this completely shifts how we use the platform now.
Wow.
So yeah, like a lot of times, I mean, I guess it just depends on like your level of influencing. I'm pretty sure like when they dropped Threads, like remember that?
Yep.
Like I'm pretty sure that like influencers like Christy Sarah or like Michaela or someone like that, I'm pretty sure they probably like give them a fair warning maybe. But like for the most part, no, it's just we get it when you get it. Like there's no newsletter, there's no like exclusive channel. Like no.
Well, it's interesting because like with Spotify, this podcast is available on Spotify, and they have this thing where you can like distribute to other platforms through your Spotify account, and I get updates all the time about what's changing. So I think that like Instagram and TikTok are late to the game.
Yeah. I do. I hope that's something that they change, and maybe you never know who's listening to you. Maybe someone on Instagram is listening to this podcast right now. And
God, we hope so.
Like, y'all, we need to do something differently. And you and I just completely changed the world.
Yeah.
Like, you never know. But
I need to use those keywords in the caption so they'll listen.
Yes.
How can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok at Beauty Maven Raven. So that's BeautyMaven Raven. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest. So yeah, that's where I am.
She's everywhere. She's everywhere.
Thank you, Raven. That's it for this week's episode of A Bright Idea. Tune in next week for part 3 of our series on entrepreneurship in the beauty industry, where I'll be sitting down with an owner of an up-and-coming lip oil company. Today's episode featured Raven Small, also known as Beauty Maven Raven. You can support her business by following her on all social media platforms at Beauty Maven Raven. If you loved today's episode, then don't forget to like and subscribe to my podcast and leave a review. Shout out to my amazing producer, Chris, for all of the edits each and every week. If you have a bright idea or a topic you think I should cover on the show, hit me up on social media. You can listen to A Bright Idea on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Until next time, I'm Amber Key.